A 4-inch shrimp throws a punch that breaks the laws of physics. Its claw accelerates from 0 to 50 miles per hour in 0.003 of a second, hitting with 1,500 newtons of force. To match that proportionally, you would need to throw a baseball at the speed of a .22 caliber bullet. And here is the part that should not be possible. The punch is so fast that it boils the water around it, creating a flash of light hotter than the surface of the sun. By the end of this video, you will know 3 creatures that, pound for pound, generate more force than any machine humans have ever built. We will cover the bite force that crushes turtle shells like saltines, the insect that survives 100,000 g of acceleration 8 times a day, and the snail that fires a poisoned harpoon faster than a bullet leaves a rifle. None of these animals weigh more than 5 pounds. Section 1. The mantis shrimp. In a 2008 study published in the Journal of Experimental Biology, Sheila Patek of Duke University clocked the peacock mantis shrimp's strike at 23 meters per second, with peak forces measured at 1,500 newtons. That is the equivalent of a 340-pound load applied through a contact area smaller than a pencil eraser. The mechanism is a saddle-shaped spring made of mineralized chitin and elastic protein. It compresses, locks, and releases in 2.7 milliseconds. Your nervous system cannot even perceive an event that fast. Human reaction time to a visual stimulus is around 250 milliseconds. The strike is over before your retina has finished sending the signal. But the raw mechanical force is only half of what makes this animal terrifying. As the claw pushes water aside at supersonic speed, pressure drops so sharply that the water vaporizes. When those vapor bubbles collapse a fraction of a second later, they implode at temperatures estimated by Patek's team at 4,000 to 5,000 Kelvin, hotter than the surface of our sun. So even if a mantis shrimp misses its target, the cavitation bubble alone delivers a second strike. Aquariums have to keep them in laminated glass tanks because a single mantis shrimp has been documented breaking standard aquarium glass on the first hit. Section 2. The pistol shrimp. If the mantis shrimp punches with the force of a .22 caliber bullet, the pistol shrimp has its own ballistic problem. A 2000 paper in Science by Versluis and colleagues at the University of Twente recorded the snap of an Alpheus heterocalus claw at 210 decibels underwater. For comparison, a Saturn V rocket engine measured at 198 decibels at launch. A jet engine at takeoff sits around 140. The shrimp is louder, in air-equivalent terms, than any sound humans encounter in normal life. The mechanism is a fast-closing claw that fires a jet of water at 60 miles per hour. Same cavitation principle as the mantis shrimp. The collapsing bubble flashes at roughly 4,700 Kelvin and stuns or kills small fish from up to 4 centimeters away. Now, here is the scale anchor. Snapping shrimp colonies are so loud that during World War II, United States submarines hid inside reefs because Allied sonar operators could not distinguish the submarines from the constant crackling of the shrimp. The animals jammed military sonar at a national level. They are the loudest source of biological noise in the ocean, and they are smaller than a paperclip. Section 3. The trap jaw ant. Here is where it gets counterintuitive. You would expect the fastest movement in the animal kingdom to come from something with muscle, but the strongest accelerations come from spring-loaded jaws. A 2006 study by Patek, Bio, and Fisher and P. Nass measured the trap jaw ant Odontomachus baueri snapping its mandibles shut in 130 microseconds at a peak velocity of 64 meters per second. That is 143 miles per hour. The acceleration peaked at 100,000 g. For reference, fighter pilots black out at 9 g. A bullet leaving a handgun barrel experiences around 20,000 g. The trapjaw ant subjects its own head to 5 times that force every time it bites, and it bites hundreds of times a day. The same study documented something stranger. The ants use their mandibles snap not just to attack prey, but to fling themselves into the air. By aiming their jaws at the ground and snapping, they launch themselves backwards at over 3 feet per snap, escaping predators in a fraction of a second. They invented a biological ejector seat, and every time they fire it, the deceleration when they land is enough to liquefy a human brainstem several times over. Their tissue holds together because the mandibles are made of zinc-reinforced cuticle, harder than aluminum. Section 4. The cone snail harpoon. The previous animals all use mechanical leverage. The most extreme acceleration on Earth, however, belongs to a hunter that fires a chemical projectile. A 2012 paper in the Journal of the Royal Society Interface by Schultz and colleagues examined the harpoon mechanism of the textile cone snail, Conus textile. The harpoon, called a radular tooth, is launched from a chamber inside the snail's proboscis. Acceleration during launch was measured at over 410,000 g, completing the strike in under 200 microseconds. That is 20 times faster than a rifle bullet leaving a barrel. The projectile is hollow, loaded with a venom cocktail containing more than 100 neurotoxins. A single sting from a geographic cone snail can kill an adult human in under 5 minutes. There is no anti-venom. The reason this works at all is fluid dynamics inside a hardened tube, no thicker than a grain of rice. Pressurized hemolymph flushes the harpoon outward like a dart from a blowgun. Only the muzzle velocity is closer to that of a small-caliber rifle. Marine biologists call cone snails the sniper rifles of the reef. They sit in the sand. They never chase. They wait until something brushes past, and then they fire once. They almost always hit. Section 5. What this all means. Across all 4 animals, the pattern is identical. None of them rely on muscle for the actual strike. Muscle contracts at most 10 meters per second. To exceed that, you need stored elastic energy, a latch, and a release. Engineers call this a power amplification mechanism. Boston Dynamics, MIT, and the United States Army Research Lab have all spent the last decade trying to build a robotic limb that mimics the mantis shrimp claw. And as of the latest published prototypes in 2024, none have come within 10% of the natural strike speed. The animals beat us by an entire order of magnitude. Which raises the open question. If an organism the size of your thumb can generate forces that human engineering, with the entire periodic table to choose from, cannot replicate, what does that say about how much we still do not understand about biological materials? Tell me in the comments which of these 4 animals impressed you most and which one you had never heard of before today.